All right. So thank you all for joining. I have two sessions today. This is one right now and later on in the afternoon. So it's a continuation. And I'm going to show you a lot of demos related to AI and productivity. Of course, you will have questions. Anytime you have a question, you can raise your hand and we can have Q&A. Of course, we'll have Q&A at the end as well. So let's get started. I have planned around 25 demos. All of these are listed here, maybe some more if time permits. And how many of you are actually already using Microsoft Copilot? Because that's only available to few customers right now. Anyone in the audience? Very nice. Few hands. Yeah. It's going to be released for general availability in November, but few customers have the privilege of having it right now. But what I'm going to show you now has nothing to do with Copilot. Whatever I'm showing you is available to all users who are using Microsoft 365 as of today. So there's nothing to wait for. You can start utilizing them across your organization. All right. Now, first thing I'm going to show you is probably something which has been there for a very long time, but people have probably not noticed it. And even if you have not noticed it, it is helping the world. So it's a silent use of AI. And this particular beneficiary is people who have eyesight problems or visually impaired people. What happens is this. Let's say I have a picture, and very often we put pictures in PowerPoint or Word or Excel, wherever. When I put a picture, notice what happens carefully. As soon as I put a picture, at the bottom, you see something happening. It automatically detected the image, it created a description for it, and it put it automatically as alt text. Now, all of us who are privileged enough to have working eyes don't even notice it, but people who don't have eyesight will love this feature, and they already do. This has been there for at least 8 years to my knowledge, and this is effective use of AI. It's silent, but it works. And of course, its recognition capability has improved over the years. So this is an obvious one. Let's put something a little more complex. Do you see that? So it's really powerful. Of course, for these things to work, the AI which is going to analyze the picture and detect what it is complex. It requires a lot of algorithms and data center power. So obviously that algorithm is not sitting on the desktop. So this will not work if you're not connected. So simple, effective use of AI for all text. And this works across Office tools. There's another one which has not worked till recently. Many of us have been struggling with voice to text, right? For a long time on Windows, and that didn't really work. Cortana also didn't take off. It was bad. But now the dictation part has become absolutely amazing. It supports 65 languages. And let me show you how to get it working. There's nothing really to work. You just have to notice this button called Dictate. It's there on browser and on mobile apps. First time you click on it, don't start dictating. Stop it. The second thing you have to do is go to the wheel sprocket and make sure the language is English India. Default will be US, UK, depending on what your regional settings are. The problem with that is, if it is not English India, it does not understand our accent as well. So make sure it is English India and the accuracy is very good. Now in laptops, you don't have much choice, but on desktops, you may have multiple microphones. So the second important thing to notice is open that drop down and choose the best microphone you have. But even with low-end laptop microphones, it works extremely well nowadays. So with that, let's see its accuracy. I'm just going to increase the font size. And now let's see. Now earlier we had to speak clearly, we had to speak very slow. Now I can speak very fast and it will still work very well. And what happens if I want a new paragraph? I actually say new paragraph or new line. But it didn't create a new paragraph because the way I said new paragraph appeared as though it's a part of my speech. Only if I say it is separately, then it will add a new paragraph. New paragraph. That's called contextual AI. In earlier phase, either it would not understand the command at all, or it will not understand it contextually. Now both happen. So once you start using this, it actually frees up your mind because you're not worried about typing, and your thoughts can be expressed much more easily, whether it is in Word, obviously, or in email, because that's what we do a lot. This works exactly the same way in email. And बीच में अगर मैं हिंदी में बात करूँ तो क्या करेगा? It will transliterate. So उसको समझता है. अभी तक multilingual नहीं आया है, लेकिन at least transliterate तो करेगा. So try it in your language. It's available in lots of languages. So that's simple, easy, effective. There are more uses of it. As we go along, we will see it. Works in browser as well as mobile. On OneNote, very useful. Mobile app, absolutely amazing kind of dictation. Now we will come to more voice to text kind of things as we go along, but try it out. Of course, this requires internet connection, and try it out in different languages to check whether it works for you. But this is not all, because this is a demo. Demo works fine. But when you're actually using it in day-to-day work, this is not enough, because you need some formatting to happen. You need some commands to be understood. So once you got the hang of it, the next step is to click on this question mark, which usually nobody does. So go there, and then it will give you some instructions as to what can I say, and just eyeball them. And as you get more and more familiar with it, you will actually be able to eliminate a lot of manual typing across the board. Now there are two types of dictation. One where you see a dictate button directly in the app, that is well integrated in the app. But what if I am on some random tool which doesn't have a dictate button? I could be in Photoshop, CorelDRAW, XYZ, non-office product, or a primitive product like, say, Notepad. Now what happens? In Notepad, there is no dictate button. Now what do I do? So there is a generic key, Windows H. Windows H. That is a generic thing. Anywhere there is a text box context, it should work. So use Windows H for non-office apps. All right, so that's about dictation. Let's move on. There's another one called translation, which I will show you a little later, and transcription, which also we will see when we are talking about Teams. Now, PowerPoint Designer, I'm sure all of you use it. Yes, no? PowerPoint Designer? Okay. So PowerPoint Designer, there are two categories of people. Those who use it, those who don't use it, and there is a third category, those who use it but don't use it fully. So let me bring everyone to the same level. Idea is very simple. You type something in PowerPoint, it gives you better visuals. So the concept is simple. When it comes to any AI technology, generally speaking, the generic pattern is you provide the content or the context, and AI will do the job for you. You don't waste your life refining things. First you get the AI output, and then, if required, you refine it. So, what is the idea? Let's start with a blank presentation. And this is very important. If you create a blank new presentation and then put something in the first slide, that gets maximum AI attention. What do I mean by that? If you have an existing presentation and you added a 7th slide and clicked on the same designer button, you will not get the same sophisticated output as much as when you are in the first slide of a new presentation. Why is that? Because it's a new presentation, PowerPoint it has the liberty to choose not only the visuals and the layout, but also the entire theme, which includes the placeholders and color scheme and font scheme. That's why if you want to try something new, even if you already have a presentation open, just go to a blank new presentation and type the word which you want. So I'm just typing logistics, and of course click on the designer button. And now what happens? If you want to try something new, even if you already have a presentation open, just go to a blank new presentation and type the word which you want. So I'm just typing logistics, and of course click on the designer button. And now what happens? If you want to try something new, even if you already have a presentation open, just go to a blank new presentation and type the word which you want. So I'm just typing logistics, and of course click on the designer button. requires internet. And notice, it has not just given me pictures, it has also found a video. And now this video initially looks blurred, it gets downloaded, and now when I run it, see what happens to that PowerPoint. This video is going to run. Now the question is, where is this video coming from? Number one, is it going to increase my PowerPoint size? Number two, third, is there a copyright issue? So let me address all of them. This video comes from Microsoft's collection of videos, which is a part of Office 365. This is not a randomly chosen video from some web search. There is a very large curated collection of pictures, graphics, icons, videos as a part of Office 365. Most people have not noticed it. I'll show you where it is. Most people, whether IT or non-IT, doesn't matter. If I need some visual, what is the first line of defense? You'll Google it and just randomly download something. That has multiple connotations, negative connotations. One is, just because you found it in Google search doesn't mean that image is free or copyright protected. You will have trouble sometimes. But more importantly, just because the image looks good, there are a lot of phishing sites which you may land upon. So there's a security context as well. Whereas here, this is guaranteed to be clean and curated and no copyright issue. Now tell me, how long do you think this video is? It's running for quite some time now. Longer the video, bigger the PowerPoint size. So this is the good part. This video, let me show it to you here. This video, if I go to the end, is just 8 seconds. So these videos, where are they? This AI automatically figured out which video is applicable for logistics. But if you want to find your own video in the collection, where do you go? You go to Insert menu, Pictures, and then go to Stock Images. Although it says Stock Images, it does have videos as well. So there are lots of videos, and if you search for, let's say, logistic itself, you will find one or more videos. I don't know how many are there. Now notice I did not find a video here because internally it's some other keyword. But the AI figured out that logistics matches that. So that's why that AI is better at finding correct images or videos. But what is special about these videos? Let me just show you one. If there is a video, all these videos have a special, now this is a running car. Now how long will it run? It's typically 8 seconds. But these are loopable videos. What does that mean? They are edited in such a way, curated in such a way that the first and last frame is same. So you will never know when the video ended and restarted. And when you insert the video, PowerPoint automatically makes it auto-run and auto-loop. So all that complexity is hidden from you. You just put it and life is good. So these videos are optimized to be used as illustrations as well as background images or videos for PowerPoint. So this is the collection which most people are missing on. There are thousands of images, icons, 6,000 plus icons. This is just car. And there are, very often we want to humanize our slides. So there are people photographs from different ethnicities, different dress, and each person has different poses with background already removed. There are some fun stickers, videos we have already seen, and so on. And then nowadays, if you want to do something in a lighter vein, you can actually build cartoon characters here. So these are ready to use characters. There are only heads available and only faces available. So you can mix and match and create cartoon characters right here. All this is a part of the system. Stock images. If you don't find it in the local version of PowerPoint, 100% on the browser version, you will find it. So that's about the introduction to design ideas. Now, that's not all. This is just the beginning. There is more. What do I mean by more? Let's see another example. Now, let's do a quiz. I don't have a prize to give you, but I'm sure if you give me the right answer, we'll clap. Yeah? I don't know if I've shown this picture before. Have you seen this before? Some of you may have. Earlier, we used to get installables on floppy, and at some day, CD came, and Bill Gates wanted to show how much CD can accommodate in terms of data. So rather than specifying the number saying these many bytes or megabytes, what he did is he climbed on a tree and all those papers which are hanging, that much data can fit on the CD. So it's a visual representation of a large number. So from a communication theory point of view, this concept is called perspectives. What does that mean? If I'm showing a number which is large, difficult to understand, it is in your interest to make it easier for the audience to understand the size or the extent of that number. So this is an illustration of the concept of perspectives. There is no number required to be written. So let's take an example. I am just showing you some number. These many minutes will be saved, for example. Now there is nothing difficult in this sentence, but everyone in the audience is dividing by 60 and dividing by 60. Correct? Why do you want to trouble the audience like that? You want to present your PowerPoint with power. Correct? You don't want to trouble the audience. So how do you simplify the number? Now to simplify the number, you will have to divide by 60 and 60. You don't want to do that also. So write this sentence, click on the designer button and see what it does. Of course, it will find a relevant picture, but that's less important right now. What did it do? It converted that number to something which is easily relatable. It automatically calculated 2.5 months and it put it there. That's called perspectives. I did not write that sentence. AI converted and found it out. So here is another example. The second sentence comes from AI. There is a built-in feature called perspectives. Many people who use Designer have not noticed it yet. Am I right? Now, how do you notice it? Nothing. When you go to Designer, it may give you multiple options. So just eyeball those options. Some options will have perspectives, some of them may not. So just eyeball them. So of course, it's finding the visual as well as simplifying the number. And all these visuals come from the collection. Simple, easy, effective. Another use of this, some of you must have done this, put up to 10 images randomly and no need to crop and align. It'll automatically do it in one click. And of course, it'll give you multiple options. Very easy. But probably the most important from a communication point of view is diagrams. And when it comes to diagram, there are two things I'll show you. One is AI-based, one is not AI-based. So when you want to draw diagrams, we have multiple options. One is use SmartArt. I'm sure some of you use SmartArt. But now SmartArt itself can be AI generated. So if I write this, many of us are struggling to create timelines. Am I right? If you have MS Project, then you probably have built-in timeline. If you have paid version of Visio, you have built-in timeline. But if you don't have a timeline, either you build it manually, which takes a long time, or you go to some third-party product like Draw.io or something equivalent to create the timeline. What we have missed out on, that you just write what you want and click on the designer button and it creates a timeline. This is not a default SmartArt. It generated a new SmartArt and this is not an image. This is actually a SmartArt. It also gives you variations. What do I mean by this is a SmartArt? So if I go to this slide now and I want to add something, this is 2020. I want to add something for 2024. I can actually go there, type, and then it will adjust. So this is a proper SmartArt. And this is out of the box. I clicked only the design button. So this is again another feature which is commonly missed because people don't expect a diagram to be created. So they never clicked on the designer button. All right. So there are more things on diagram side. Because sometimes this was a timeline, so it was easy. But sometimes things are abstract. Then what do you do? What will this guy do? Now you can't find 5 pictures for this, 6 pictures, whatever. So it goes to icons and finds the correct icons automatically. There are 6,000 SVG icons built in and picked up the correct ones. And then last one I'll show you. Sometimes the processes are very complex and really there is no visual possible. Even then, it tries to simplify your communication. Now, this is some technical process. Don't worry about what the process is. It's a long process. The first mistake I have done here is what? Tell me. Sorry. What is the first mistake I did? Whenever I show a long process, at least bare minimum, what should you do in PowerPoint? Instead of bullets, you should have numbers. So if someone has a question, they can refer to a step. my number. Simple, bullets versus number. But I put bullets, and it's a long process. Obviously, it's not going to find pictures for each, but it automatically put numbers. At least that much is better. Now remember, when it is a process, every step is something to be done. And from a grammar point of view, something to be done, whatever that sentence or phrase is, will have a verb in it, correct? Because it's an action. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So another variation of this is it found the verbs from each sentence and it created a nice diagram. Look at the simplicity with which it is presenting the same boring bullets. So bottom line, all that you have to do is provide the content and at least give a try to the designer. If it doesn't yield results, then you do manual work. That's the best practice. And who should know this? Every user. So go back and implement it as an SOP. So simple. Great. Any questions so far? Yeah, there. Yeah. Yeah, there. Someone is going? Yeah.
Why get this one?
Out of it.
Hello. Well, one question, what I believe is that all in the series, when it gives you options, sometimes the corporate template,
Absolutely. So what you do is, and that's another very good question, and there is a best practice associated with it. All of you have a corporate template, correct? And if you put something, it will give suggestions, but they are not as per corporate template. Generally that happens for whatever reason. We'll not go into the technical reasons of that. But the idea is, if the visual which it has created is good, then just pick up the visual, put it in a new slide and paste it. Usually the visual will be either a picture or a video, which is relevant, but the layout is not relevant. So create a blank new slide as per your template, new slide, nothing to do with the current one, and paste that. Or if it is a diagram, just copy the diagram and paste it there. So if this is happening very often, what I usually do is, if I have a set template and I just want the ideas, I keep another presentation open, use that for designer, and only the crux, the important part, whether it's a visual or graphic or diagram, I copy paste into my PPT. So you should have a helper presentation open. That will make life easier. Great. All right. Now, another thing. Very often we are presenting, and all of your senior leaders, you may not be just presenting to small audiences, many large audiences, including many of your frontline people or audience who doesn't understand the language in which you are speaking. In India itself, this happens. You are addressing large people who are on the field, salespeople, frontline workers. They may not understand English when you are talking English. But you are going to present in English. You don't understand Hindi, for example. Now what do? I want everyone in the audience to understand Hindi. There is no Teams meeting. There is no Zoom meeting. It's a live presentation. So what do? So this is another amazing feature. Probably some of you already use it. And maybe this was an afterthought. You realize after starting the presentation that half the people don't seem to be relating to it. Now, nobody is going to tell you that they are not. So, assuming you think that there is a communication problem, right-click in the PPT itself, and there is something called subtitle settings. If you want to prepare beforehand, of course, in the slideshow menu it is there. And now go to settings. Now, I'm going to speak in English and make sure it is English India. And for this demo, I'm going to choose Hindi. Now, this is not only for people in the front line who don't understand English in India. This is also for your collaborators, your JVs, your suppliers, your consultants who may not be having English as the primary language, right? So, 60 languages are supported. Now, nothing seems to have happened yet because there is a second step. I just did the settings right now. Now, one of the settings you should manage is where does that appear, right? I have 4 options. I am going to say above slide. Overlaid means what? It will be on top of the slide. That may disturb your content. Above, below slide, it will be a separate area, but it will reduce the size of your slide. So you figure out which one works for you. Right now, for this demo, I put it above slide. Now, second step, right click and start subtitles. Yes, this requires internet connection and hopefully this will work. So now whatever I'm speaking should get transcribed. I have no idea why it is not getting transcribed. It is saying listening, but it doesn't seem to be working. Let me see if I change something. English India, Hindi, yes. That's correct. It's best to test it out. Let me stop and restart. So now, hopefully, it'll understand. Yes. So now, again, the same concept, same thing is working, which we used earlier for dictation. So the algorithm is same. Accuracy will improve as and when you use it more and more. And depending on how confidently I'm speaking, how much am I rephrasing, it may look like it has gone ahead, come back and rephrased. And that's what it exactly does live. Now, the only problem with this approach is this one only allows you to set one language. What if you have a multilingual audience? You're talking to an international audience. Maybe you have a lot of customers across countries and you're addressing them. Now what do? You can choose one of the languages. What if you want the audience to choose their own language? Do you know what to do? Some of you may have used it. Has anyone used that feature? It's called Present Live. Very nice. So let me show you another variation of it. The benefit of that being, here I am hard coding the language. I want to give the ability to the audience to choose their own language. An individual person in the audience can choose the language of his or her choice. So how do you go about doing that? Now for this to happen, I'm going to stop this. I have to go to the browser because this particular feature is available only on browser version right now. So I go to browser, I go to PowerPoint and open a PPT and present it from there. So let's say this is a PPT. Now in browser version of PowerPoint, in the slideshow menu, there is a button called Present Live. I don't know why that is disabled. So don't worry. It takes a little while to get alive. Few seconds. Sorry? I know. I'm saying first time you go there, you will see, oh, it is disabled. It takes 5-6 seconds to come. Don't worry. So, now 2 steps. Open this and first choose anyone. I'll tell you why. Nothing seems to happen. Now, click on Present Live. Now, when you start presenting, actually, your presentation doesn't appear. Something else appears. So now scan this QR code. Is it scannable? People at the back? Scan all right? No, people at the back, yeah. Now what happens? I can see how many people have joined. And even though I have not started my PPT, look at your screen. It's already transcribing it in English, right? Is it transcribing? But now each one of you can open that English thing and choose a language which you like. And now, in real time, I am continuing to speak in English and I don't even know which languages are chosen. I don't really care. This is applied AI. And there has nothing to do with ChatGPT. There has nothing to do with Copilot. This feature is there for at least 3 years. So if you have a multilingual context, make sure those people in your organization who can potentially benefit from this will be aware of this. And yes, you can see like in Instars, social media, you can actually have these things. And now I can actually start the presentation and it will run beautifully. Even if you scanned it on, there is a URL also. So if you are on a Teams meeting or something like that, you can paste the URL in chat. People can open it in desktop as well. This works on desktop browser as well. In fact, it can run simultaneously on multiple devices. So that is how everything becomes simpler. This is applied AI in action. So I know I have to finish by 10:45, right? My boss is standing there giving me dirty looks. So, I know. So, don't worry, I have a second half coming. What time is my session? Next one? Post lunch, right? Yeah. So, I'm going to stop here, take some questions if possible, and then we'll continue this journey in the second half. Most of the generative AI which creates images takes input as text and creates output as image. Here is different. So Adobe has a tool called Firefly where you give an input as text, which is just AI, and then I say what do I want in that text. So from text and image to text is the output. Very powerful. Okay, anyway, now I have limited time. I'm going to go faster this time. One of the most important things all of you should know is as your seniority grows, which product is used more and more? PowerPoint, very good. So PowerPoint is important, but very often we have a document in Word. So there is a long document in Word. Already headings, subheadings have been created. There is table of contents. It's a 15-page document. Now I need to create a PowerPoint presentation out of it. So some of you may already know this. If you know it, don't tell me how, but how many of you know how to convert this to PowerPoint? Without copy-paste, of course. With copy-paste, the entire world knows. So few people. All right, so the idea is very simple. It's a generic thought. If you have a need, the solution must be there. And to find the solution, you don't ask each other, you don't Google or Bing it, you don't go to help, you look at the menus and go to the logically correct menu by simple common sense. So this feature as of now works on browser. The menus are same. I'm converting a Word file to PowerPoint. So obviously the solution has to be in file menu. So file, export, PowerPoint. I give you some templates. Choose any of the templates available. Internet lagta hai obviously. And just click export. It doesn't ask you what do you want to put in PowerPoint. For this to work better, you need to have headings and subheadings. That's all. So apply the heading styles. I hope you know how to apply that. Then you just click on open presentation. Just to tell you where headings are. When you type something, click on heading 1, 2, 3 styles. There are up to 9 styles available. So 15-page document. How many slides should it make? There's no hard and fast rule. So in this case, it created, I don't know how many, 40 slides. And obvious time saving, right? Otherwise, happily people are copying and pasting between Word and PowerPoint. 20 minutes gaya. If boss is standing behind, boss will not fire because boss also does the same thing. The entire world is like that. So this is called a great leveler. Office is a great leveler. Koi senior junior nahi hai. But now, obvious benefit, those 20 minutes are saved. No, that is not the benefit. Because after those 20 minutes of wasted time for which everyone gets paid salary, that PPT would not look so good. So less effort, more impact. And it didn't just randomly convert it from bullets to bullets. It looked at the bullets. For example, here I have quick intro, which was just a paragraph, not even bullets. And then it converted it into a smart art and it found the correct icons for it. So it's way better than whatever copy paste you have done because you would have spent 1 hour extra beautifying the slides. And after that 1 hour also, it will still look disgusting. And then at some point of time, you have to give up saying, there's only limited amount of time I have. So there's only so much tweaking I can do. So this is called less effort, more impact. All of you who have Office 365 already have it. Go back and teach it to everyone. This works as of now only on the browser version. So put the Word file on OneDrive, open it on browser, file, export, PowerPoint. Now before anybody asks, you have to choose some template it offers. Now of course you have your own template. Now open this PPT on desktop and then copy paste into your template. That takes care of it. Assuming your template is properly made, which is unlikely because most templates are made by ad agencies, which are done by great designers, but those designers don't understand PowerPoint. So most often some tweaking may be required, but still better than copy paste. So everyone in the organization should be using this. No more copy-paste. All right, let's move on. Now, what happens next? Let me show you one amazing feature which is already there in Outlook. Probably you have not noticed it. I'm not going to show it because you already know it. There are 2 folders in inbox, focused and other. Do you know what goes in other? It's not spam. It's less important mails. Now, who decides which mail is less important? The AI decides. It has been sitting behind the scenes, understanding which mails are less important to you as a person, and 30 to 40% mails there. As a result, already we are saving 30 to 40% of manual scanning time to decide which one is important. So the only thing you have to notice is, if a mail which is important to you lands up in other, then you have to right click on it and say, always go to focus. That's a false positive from AI algorithm point of view, so it learns next time. That's the only action item there. Now, I'm going to show you something which is not AI, but I want all of you to start using it, assuming you're already using Teams for meetings, which I'm sure many of you already are. So I'm in a Teams meeting, I am talking, and there is one more person. Now, this is the other person who is attending the meeting. This person is in the same meeting. Now notice what happens. Now, name you this. So now what happens? Oh, come on. Just give me a second. So what happens is, I showed you. Okay. Yeah. So there is something called live captions, which has been there for a very long time. Now the idea is, live captions means whatever I am talking will get transcribed live. Nothing great there. But in the live captions context, there is a feature which is commonly not known, which I'll show you. As an attendee, I go to live captions, enable live captions, and when I enable live captions, what will happen? Whatever I'm speaking will get translated, or rather transcribed, in whatever is the base language. Now, there are settings here, and I'm going to change the settings just to put it at the bottom so that you can see it well. Now the problem is, I am speaking in English, the captions are in English. Very often the other party is not speaking in English and you don't understand the German, French, whatever. Then what do? So you go to settings, and then there is a caption language which you can choose. And in the Indian context, of course, there is English and Hindi. So now I continue to talk in the language which I am talking, but at an individual audience level, this is getting translated and transcribed. And for this to work, the organizer of the meeting needs to have Teams Premium. The attendees do not need Teams Premium. That's the idea. So that's one part. I'm going to switch this off. And there is another feature where I think Gautam was asking earlier, if I'm presenting my slide, I showed you how to translate it. That works, but I have limited time. You can try it out, that PowerPoint Live, which I showed you earlier, and absolutely works. But there is another scenario. I want to present something in PowerPoint, and the audience doesn't understand what is written in my slide because they don't understand English. Now what do? So I'm going to turn off this. In present, we have share, screen, yes, window, yes, whiteboard, probably some of you use. Below there is something called PowerPoint Live, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now I'm choosing a PPT from there. What happens is PowerPoint gets uploaded to Microsoft Data Center and it is being run from there. And what's the benefit of that? Well, it's like having a presenter view. In older projector days, if you have slide notes and you want to see notes and you don't want the audience to see, we used to use this. Now we are in one screen In one screen, I want to see my notes, but I don't want the audience to see. How do you do that? This is the option. Press PowerPoint Live. So now this is my view as a presenter. I can read my notes, no problem. Now what is the other party seeing? Other party is not seeing anything, only my current slide, which is best of both worlds. But there is a disadvantage here. It's a feature, but I feel it's a bug. There is something called private view. What does that mean? Independent of me as a presenter, the audience can skip slides. They can go to next slide, previous slide. If it is desirable in the given context, keep it on. But generally, you want to control the presentation. So as soon as you start presenting, switch it off. So you control the flow. Now see what happens. Before we do anything else, this person cannot skip slides, but individual audience member can say translate slides, and there are lots of languages. And now this slide, I can translate into so many languages live. And potentially, each person in the audience can choose a different language, like I talked about before. So I'm changing the slide. This is my view, and this is the audience view. This is happening live. Yes, I think someone feels like clapping, I think. Right? And this is not new. This has nothing to do with ChatGPT, and this has nothing to do with Copilot. All of you have this feature if you use Teams. Now next, while I'm doing this, I get many other features as a presenter. I get a laser pointer. All of you know that in PowerPoint also there is a laser pointer. But this laser pointer is a lazy laser pointer. Why is that so? Because it leaves trails. Because otherwise what happens in low bandwidth situations, by the time you have moved it, people don't know where you are pointing. So that's why it leaves trails. Other benefit from a presenter point of view is sometimes while you are using laser pointer, you also want to use this to highlight something. So you can temporarily do this and then it will disappear. So it's a very useful laser pointer. And of course, you can do various things like skipping slides without letting the audience know. So you're in full control and others are seeing what you want. So that's another great feature. Now I'm going to stop presenting and I'll show you another feature which has nothing to do with AI. But if you have to start using one thing I've shown in today's entire session, please do this. Because AI or otherwise, meetings are everywhere. So now look at this meeting. It's a normal Teams meeting. But I did something extra when I created the meeting. So let me show you what I did. Usually Teams meetings will be created in some calendar in Outlook. But as soon as you finish creating the thing in calendar in Outlook, immediately come to Teams calendar, open the meeting and scroll down. There you will see a great thing here called agenda. And here you can put agenda as a part of the meeting. It's not a text which is not editable by everyone. This is a checklist. And this meeting has already started. Now what happens in the meeting, when anybody joins, and this notes button has been there for a long time, but nobody really properly uses it. When you click on the notes button, what happens? It shows you the agenda. It's a checklist. As and when things happen, you can change it, add it, reorder it, whatever. And you have shared notes. So I'm writing some notes. Let's say finalize discount at 5% for all products. Now I wrote this. Who else can see it? This is assistant. A means assistant. Now the other person who is on the call is Nitin. So let me go to Nitin. And can Nitin see it? Yes. Same place, notes. Can Nitin change it? Yes. Now suppose Nitin changes it from 5% to 11%. Now this is free for all. How do you know who changed what? So there is an amazing feature there. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. When I click there, I will see who has touched it. When I hover on it, I'll see two people's names. And when I hover on the name, I'll see Nitin changed it to 11 and the rest of it was done by assistant. So it can be multiple people. It's sort of mini track changes. And the most important part here is invariably every meeting will have at least one action point. So this is Nitin. I am giving a task to someone. So CIO task given by Nitin. And here I can put ID of anywhere, whoever is there in the call, or even people who are not in the meeting. And then I can put a due date and you can have an action point list there. and this stays with the meeting lifelong. Usually, all this happens as a post-meeting collaboration by sending reply all messages to each other. Basically, meeting stays in the calendar, but everything around the meeting happens in email, and those emails have no connection with the calendar. And that is completely eliminated by doing this. And let's assume all this is done now. I finished the meeting. Now I have given some tasks to assistant. Whether it is me or assistant, all of us are going to attend lots of meetings in a month. Now, where do I go searching for my tasks? That's the next question. So, you don't go individual meetings and look for your tasks. The answer is, in Office 365, there is an app called To-Do app. All of you have it. It's browser-based, mobile-based. Nowadays, it integrates with that so-called new Outlook. And in that To-Do app, there is something called Assign to Me. And when I go there, all my tasks across meetings and planner are automatically consolidated. Just implement this across your organization and see how many mails go down and how faster execution and clarity will improve. So this is not AI, but this is really transformative. Thank you. All of you have this feature. There's nothing to be enabled. All right, let's move on. Now let's go to data. Probably that's the most important from analytics point of view. Before that, one small thing, but really useful. Translation for document level is available. So this is a long, not long, one-page document. I want to translate it into another language. What do? I go to the review tab, go to language, and say translate document. The entire document can be translated, not just the selection. And now I choose the language, choose translate, and that's it. It creates a separate copy of it, translated instantly. There's a small document, but exactly the same way across. Now, this is reverse is also possible. Many of you have collaborations with multinationals where you may get documents in Japanese, German, French. You can do this directly there. In Excel and PowerPoint also this is available, but there it works on selection. For example, here I have selected this part and I have chosen translate. So only the selection will be translated to whatever language you choose. But either way, it's very, very good. All right, so that's the selection part. Now let's move on to analytics. And a few things only I'll show you and then we'll finish. So one of the simplest thing you should do is start using Power BI, the free version. There is no payment to be made to Microsoft. And on all your users, you tell them, whatever you are doing in Excel or any other tool, the same data you import in Power BI and carry that empty Power BI. There is no report there, blank screen. Only thing it's just having is data. Import the same data, carry it. Why? Because often we make reports, we copy paste them in PowerPoint, review, meeting. We are showing ready to use reports. And during the meeting, some new question comes, show me drill down by this or that or filter by that. And the common answer is, I'll get back to you. What is the point? I don't want to get back to people later. I want to do it now. So an amazing question and answer capability is available. How do you do that? Blank page and just go to insert visuals. There are many visuals. One of them is Q&A. Just insert the visual and that's it. So what happens now? When you put the visual, it says ask a question. And remember, these are the columns I have in the data. This works across data model. That means multiple related tables. And how do I ask a question? Of course, I can type a question, but remember I told you there is a generic voice to text available in Windows. So Windows H. So I'm going to attempt, requires internet connection. Top 3 city and gender by an average amount. So try this, and if it works, you don't have to say, I'll get back to you. You made a decision faster in a more informed way. And that's the whole idea of analytics. Doesn't matter where your data is coming from. There are 140 connectors available for free. Whatever I'm showing you is completely free. And the last thing I want to show you is again, similar stuff. You have a simple chart here. Now, something happened here. I say, okay, here it was 18,000, suddenly became 4,000. Why? Right click there. Don't say I'll get back to you. Right click there and say explain the decrease. It looks at all the other dimensions ranks them in order of influence, and gives you a waterfall chart, multiple waterfall charts to explain what happened. So this is by card type, this is by another parameter, this is by another field, this is by another dimension. Again, you are learning more about your data instantly with just a right click. Implement these two best practices. Whatever data you have will speak more, better insights, faster for everyone. This is completely free. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, take some questions, and everyone wanted to know where this video will be. So by the time we finish, by evening, I will post the video on my YouTube channel. The channel link is here. So that's it for me. Thank you.